Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel, where we try to dominate FPL one game week at a time. So today I will do a recap on my current progress in game week 10, look at some players who are currently injured or close to a suspension, and then we'll do a full game week 11 team selection and the reasons behind my current selection. And then I will discuss who's the best captain for game week 11 and my current transfer ideas. Finally, we need to talk about the all-important question: should you sell Erling Haaland? Stick around to hear my thoughts on the matter. If you enjoy FPL content, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like and drop a comment down below on whether you're looking to sell Haaland this week. And if so, tell me who. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Get strong.
Right, mate, so far in game week 10, I've got 35 points, but I took a hit this week and I took João Pedro to Cunha and I took Robertson to 8 Norwich for a -4. So I'm currently on 31 net points for the week. I've got a small green hour up to 324,000. I've got a game week rank of 1.7 million and my total points have gone up to 602. My defence, I've done nothing so far. Trent with the 2-pointer, Rico Lewis with a 17-minute cameo, and 8 Norwich with the 1-pointer and the 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace. Salah's coming clutch for me with a 9-pointer, and I made him captain, so we've got double points there. Chris Wood doing Chris Wood things, and Cunha with a little cheeky assist with a 6-pointer there. I've still got Flecken, Palmer, and Bruno, and Solanke still to play. I am expecting a green hour overall. I feel like I've got the big hitters ready to go with the likes of Palmer and Mbumo, and I've still got a couple cheeky plays in there with the likes of Solanke and Bruno. You might do the odd thing here and there, so overall, it's going to be a decent game week for me. Like, nothing kind of groundbreaking. I'm not going to skyrocket, but I think I'll get a small green hour overall. I'm pretty happy with how the team has done so far. Let's take a look at some players who are close to a suspension. I feel like we're hitting that point of the season where yellow cards are accumulating and players are quite close to the line of being suspended. I've highlighted a few players who might be highly owned or people have got in their teams. Edison kind of jumped out to me that he's got 3 yellow cards. I feel like that's quite a lot for a goalkeeper at this stage of the season. And the reset game week 18, game week 19. So we've still got a few games to go before like he needs to avoid the 5 yellow cards before he does get banned. Michael Keane, Everton's got 4 yellow cards. I'd avoid him if you are thinking of bringing players in. 8 Norwich has got 4 yellow cards. He's been on 4 yellow cards for a couple of weeks now. He's got Southampton this week. So I think if you're going to do transfer, do it this week, and then just do it and then just play it by a week-by-week basis after that. Van der Ven, 4 yellow cards, also injured. If you've got him, I'd look to sell him straight away. Semenyo was one that I didn't realise had 4 yellow cards. I'm seeing some people thinking about bringing him in. I'd probably avoid it, depending on the fixture, whether you're going to start him or not. Palmer has got 3 yellow cards so far, which is also quite surprising. Really high-owned player. Something just to keep in mind if you are thinking of bringing in. Nicholas Jackson only got 3. I'm surprised he's not got about 18. He seems to get booked every single week. Yeah, definitely something to keep in mind if you are thinking of bringing him in for game week 12, game week 13 when Chelsea's fixtures do turn around. So if he does get a yellow card today against Man United, then it might be something to kind of just to keep an eye on and see if he does get those 5 yellow cards or not. And then Jamie Vardy at the end, 3 yellow cards so far. It doesn't surprise me, like he's quite a feisty character. The current injury watch, Alisson is predicted to come back in game week 12. Kanate, who got injured yesterday, looks like he's done something to his arm. Not sure if it's kind of like wrist or elbow, but he walked off with his arm in a sling yesterday. So he doesn't have a projected return so far because they're going to do some assessments on him. Romero currently back for game week 12 so far. Van der Ven, they think he's going to be back for game week 12. I'm a bit unsure about that because it is a hamstring injury. Same with Abriche as well, because it is a hamstring injury. I wouldn't be totally confident that he's going to be back for game week 12. And then Odegaard, Arsenal midfield, I feel like he's been out for about 6 weeks now. The FPL site has put him down as like a 75% chance of return. I think he could be miles off. I don't really know what's wrong, and we don't know how far away he's going to be. So if you are thinking of bringing any of these players in, just keep this information in mind. Let's take a look at my current team for game week 11. I've got a team value of 100.9 million with 0.2 in the bank with 1 free transfer. I'm currently opting for Flecken in goal as opposed to Verbruggen, who's got Man City. Flecken's got a nice couple of games coming now with Bournemouth, Everton and Leicester in the next 3. So he's probably going to be my goalkeeper for the next 3. And then Verbruggen's got great long-term fixtures. So those 2 keepers rotate pretty well for me. I have opted for Vandenberg and Anderson both on the bench. And Eze is also on the bench because he's currently down as injured. In my defence, I've got Trent, 7 million defender for Liverpool. 30% owned, and I think he will continue to drop over the next few weeks or so. Got a nice couple of games coming up now. I think Villa at home is a good fixture for Liverpool. I don't feel like Villa are clicking on all cylinders right now, and things aren't probably working from an attacking point of view. We're playing Spurs today, so maybe we'll kind of see how that one goes. I think Trent is probably a keep for now, unless I want to do something kind of drastic, and I'll look at some transfer ideas later on. But that Southampton fixture in particular is something that I'm really looking forward to for owning Trent for that one. If I am going to sell it, it's probably going to be on the Man City Newcastle games. But Liverpool have got great long-term fixtures. They're probably the best defence in the league as well, and we all know what Trent can do. Moving on to Rico Lewis, and I think he offers great value for his price point. Plus, he plays in one of the best defences and teams in the league. 4.9 million, 16.5% owned so far. And although he's got tough games coming up, and I think Vandenberg and Anderson up against Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, probably better defensive options. I think Lewis and Man City are just better overall, and up against Brighton away. We don't know how that one's going to go. If we do get any kind of inclination that Lewis might get dropped for that game, I'm probably going to play Vandenberg just because I've got Flecken and goal, just double up on that Brentford defence, even though they haven't kept a clean sheet. It's still a good game for them. Finally, on to 8 Norwich. I brought him in last week. I think he just offers so much attacking threat and kind of goal involvement potential. That's the reason why I've gone for him. Obviously, Wolves aren't great defensively. They've not kept a clean sheet. They're probably not going to keep a clean sheet anytime soon, but they have got a great run of games now up to about game week 18, 19. Only 4.6 million, so I think he's great value once again. 10.6% owned. I think his price will continue to rise over the next few weeks. Southampton at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton and West Ham in the next 5. He is on 4 yellow cards, so if you are thinking about him, just keep that in mind. Overall, pretty happy with my goalkeeping defence for this game week. Let's take a look at the midfield. First up in the midfield is Cole Palmer, 11 million Chelsea midfielder, 56.3% owned. Tough fixture in game week 11 up against Arsenal, but then he's got Leicester, Villa and Southampton after that. I just think he's just an unbelievable player. I don't think it matters who Palmer is up against. I think if you've got him, you need to play him regardless of the fixture. I just think he's absolutely class. Can score against anybody, takes a lot of set pieces, takes penalties. He's owned by half the game. Absolute monster. Bruno Fernandes, I've kept him for weeks. Feel like things are finally going to start turning around now. Leicester in game week 11, then Ipswich and Everton. Great run of 3 games coming up. Only 6.7% owned, so he's a bit of a mini differential there. And being a Man United fan, I just love owning Man United players. And any chance I can get Bruno on my team, I'm just going to do it. Bryan Mbeumo is just... He's like the best player in the game. Best pick in the game, do you know what I mean? He's only 7.8 million, but he's 40.8% owned. Like, he should be 60 to 80% owned in the game so far. He's just an absolute machine. 3 good games coming up in Bournemouth, Everton and Leicester as well. I don't think it matters with Mbeumo because of his price point, particularly someone like me. I bought him at 7.2 million. He almost feels like a season keeper, to be honest. Like, even up against the likes of Aston Villa or Newcastle, I think he's going to continue to stick away, get those goal returns, get those goal involvements, and he's just going to keep doing his thing. So for me, I'm probably going to keep him for the long term. I just don't see the point in waiting a transfer there when I think he's just so good at value for what he offers. Last but not least is Mo Salah. Aston Villa at home this week, followed by Southampton away, then Man City, Newcastle and Everton, and similar to Mbeumo and probably Palmer as well. I don't think it matters who Salah plays. Like, we all know what he can do, particularly at home. He's an absolute monster at home, so I'm gonna continue to play him, continue to probably captain him for the foreseeable future. I think he's just an absolute beast. And there's no point in me messing around with this. I just think he's an absolute machine. Great run of games for both Salah and Liverpool from an attacking point of view. If you don't own him, you might need to think about how you're going to get Salah in, because I think he's just going to explode over these next 5 weeks. Let's take a look at the forwards. Moving on to the forwards, Matheus Cunha up first, 6.6 million, 13.1% owned for Wolves. Great run of games once again. Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham. Just really nice run of games. I think he offers great value for his price point at 6.6 million. Up next, we've got Solanke, 7.6 million forward for Spurs, 10.9% owned. And as much as I would like to sell him, I don't feel like you can sell any player when they've got Ipswich next. And because he's got Ipswich in game week 11, I need to play him. I need to start him. And then maybe I can reassess things in game week 12 when they're up against Man City, where it's probably going to be a transfer out for me. Even after that, like, if you've got any kind of Spurs assets, if you've got Son, Son might be a long-term hold, to be honest, when they've got Fulham in game week 13, followed by Bournemouth and Chelsea. We all know what Son can do, but Solanke, when he's not getting any shots away, he's just such a clear sell in game week 12. But for now, I'm going to keep him for game week 11, just see how he gets on, and hopefully he can get some returns in that game. On to the man of the moment, Chris Wood. He's just going for fun. Up against his old team in Newcastle, this is just a very obvious start to me. Feels very much like a revenge kind of thing, where he could explode in this game and just absolutely punish them. Forest are playing really well, great defensively. And what they're almost utilising Chris Wood's greatest strengths, lumping it in the box, playing it forward, he's knocking it down, turning, getting quick shots away. I feel like he's going to cause a lot of teams problems because of his size and physicality. Plus, he's a decent finisher. He's causing a lot of teams problems. So for me, it's a really obvious start to play Chris Wood in this game. If you don't own Chris Wood, I probably wouldn't buy him now. Just with that and with the Arsenal Man City game coming up in the next 5. I think if you've got him, you obviously keep him and you play him over the next 2 or 3. If you can bench him for the Arsenal Man City game, then just kind of see how you can get on in those. But for me, Chris Wood is just such an obvious star. Let's take a look at captaincy for game week 11. So for me, there's a few decent captains for game week 11, but the 2 standouts for me is Mo Salah up against Erling Haaland. And I've got some data in the middle of these. So Salah's stats are on the left, Erling Haaland's are on the right. Some of the predicted points, FPL Review predicts Salah to get 7.1 points as opposed to Haaland 6.2. The Fantasy Football Hub predicts Salah's going to get 8 points as opposed to Haaland 7.5. So they're both pretty close, to be honest. But the fixture, Salah's got Aston Villa at home as opposed to Haaland's got Brighton away. So I'd probably give that one to Salah just because he's got the home fixture. Some of the previous record versus that particular opposition. Salah's got played 10 games against Aston Villa in the league with 6 goals and 3 assists, with nearly 1 return in each game. Erling Haaland's played Brighton 3 times, got 3 goals and 1 assist, so they've both got a good record against their respective opponents. But for me, Salah's going to take this one, mainly down to the fact that he's got high predicted points in both of those, and he's playing at home. Salah is just an absolute monster at home. Erling Haaland's out of form, not got a lot of returns recently. So for me, if you want both of these, Salah would be my main captaincy option. For game week 11, I think I've got 3 main options for transfers. Option 1 is to roll the transfers, stick with my current team. As you can see, a lot of my players have got decent fixtures, so maybe I don't need to do anything and just stick with my current team, roll the free transfer. There's an international break after game week 11, and then I can reassess things moving into game week 12 and try and capitalise on the fixture turns of the likes of Chelsea and things like that. Option 2 is to use the 1 free transfer, take out Eze, who's currently injured, and move to someone like a Garnacho. I could get to someone like a Rashford as well, or I could come all the way down to someone like a Morgan Rogers and use that money elsewhere, or I could go a bit mad, take a hit, make 2 transfers, take Trent to Dalot, and then take Eze to Garnacho or any of the players that I've previously mentioned. And the reason why I like this one is that it gives me a lot of money in the bank to start to do other things, and then I can start to maybe look at the likes of Isak moving forward, or Nicholas Jackson, or both of them, or maybe I can start looking at us and moving someone like a Bruno Fernandes to a Saka in the future. So it gives me a little bit more flexibility in terms of money. I'm probably not going to take a hit, so option 3 is probably off the table. I like the idea of rolling the transfer, and we don't know when Eze is going to be back, and getting into that into the international break with 2 free transfers coming out the other side, and maybe I can start looking at targeting Chelsea players and see how things go from there. Probably going to be option 1, a little bit boring. I like the idea of option 2 of targeting those Man United fixtures, getting another one of my boys, you know what I mean? So I am very tempted to get another Man United player in, so not really sure what I'm going to do. It's between option 1 and option 2. Leave a comment down below on which one you think I should do for game week 11. We need to ask the question, if you own Haaland, should you sell him? He's currently got 105,000 transfers out this game week. Some of his stats this season, I want to look at his first 5 games as opposed to his most recent 5 games. It's like he's played 10 games in total. So in his first 5 games, he scored 10 goals, and his most recent 5 games, he scored 1 goal. His total XG for his first 5 games is 5.64, and that has dropped in his most recent 5 games to 4.07. So his total expected goals has dropped in his recent games. His XG per 90 for his first 5 games is 1.13. So over 1 expected goals per game. His most recent 5 games, that's dropped to 0.81. And in his first 5 games, he got 63 points, including a couple of hat-tricks. And his most recent 5 games, he's only got 14 points. However, something that I do want to point out, in his last 2 appearances against Southampton and Bournemouth, up against Southampton, he got an XG of 2.33, but he only scored 1 goal. Up against Bournemouth, he still got an XG of 1.04. So he is still putting up the numbers in the most recent games. I think City teams lacking a lot of creativity and a lot of fitness and a lot of freshness. And it all boils down to one thing. Are you going to captain Haaland in the upcoming games? And that's yes or no on whether you should sell him or not. So I've got his next 5 games coming up. So he's got Brighton away, Spurs at home, Liverpool away, Nottingham Forest at home, and Crystal Palace away. His predicted points from Fantasy Football Hub and FPL Review are both there. So Brighton is predicted to get 7.5 points, Spurs at home predicted to get 8.6 points, Liverpool away 7.3 points, Nottingham Forest 8.5 points, and Crystal Palace away predicted to get 7.5 points. And you can see the column there for the FPL Review, where it's slightly lower for every single fixture. And in the last column, I've got what I consider to be the best captain for that particular game week. For game week 11, I think Salah's the best captain up against Aston Villa. I do think Haaland is the best captain for game week 12 at home to Spurs. I think the best captain in game week 13 is Cole Palmer. I think the best captain for game week 14 is Haaland. And the best captain for game week 15 is Salah. So if you're going to captain Haaland probably 2 to 3 times in the next 5 games, it might even be worth keeping him, to be honest. And I think his stats and his goals will catch up with the data, because he is performing he is underperforming his data right now. So drop a comment down below. Are you going to sell Erling Haaland? Because he's for me the best captain in at least 2 of the upcoming 5 games. And if you are going to sell him, let me know who you're going to bring in his place. Right, mates, that's it for today's video, where we did an early team selection / game week 11 preview, mainly looking at captaincy and transfers. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment down below. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.